the very first president of Ghana is Kwame Nkrumah, and his daughter Samia joins us now, and we're going to talk about that cultural link. Good morning. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you.
You're here. You were guest speaker at the launch of the Reparations Center
at the University of the West Indies.
How important is reparations coming from the African side? I mean, we have a story. How important is it for you as a Ghanaian?
Yes, and your story is our story,
right.
Because it all started in the continent, your true home, by the way, because that's where all African people belong. So we were separated arbitrarily, artificially. And we believe that Africans are in different parts of the world. And one day, I know one day, we are going to come together to do good things for our people. I think we believe we must somehow reverse the consequences of those years of slavery, colonialism, and now this, we call it balkanization. Like African people, we were divided. So we are divided into small states. We are divided into small countries. So it's difficult for us to cope. How can small economies manage in today's world? How can a small country like Ghana or Jamaica, how can you negotiate on equal terms with big blocs, China, India, the EU, the US? So we really are the same people, and reparation is a very, very important and timely question, because when we do more research into that, we'll go back and look into our past, the past 500 or so centuries. What happened to Africans? What were the consequences of those, let's say, experiences? But from our own perspective. The important thing is that we have to write our history. Because as you write your history, you actually make it, you own your experience. So it is not just important because of what will happen, but you need to go back, look at your history, write it, present it to your people. And if injustice has been meted out to you, as we know it has,
justice must be served.
Yes, and you have to speak out. Our young people must know what happened and how, and that the consequences are still with us today.
In your response to that question, you asked a number of questions yourself. In your keynote speech, did you answer those questions? In a nutshell, what did you tell the audience?
That Africa is indivisible. The reason I'm here is that we are the same people. I want young people to know that Kwame Nkrumah, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah as we call him, who led our country to independence, was mostly inspired, and in his own words, he was inspired by Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa campaign. So the people of this country, your history, your forefathers, were instrumental in rekindling the spirit of African nationalism that helped many of our leaders, to garner that enthusiasm to fight for independence. So Kwame Nkrumah said it, he wrote it in his autobiography, of all the literature he read. And this is a man who read a lot. He wrote 14 books. He's a philosopher, politician. He was voted as the African of the millennium. He was head of state. So when someone like that writes or speaks, you listen. He said of all the literature he read, it was the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey that had the greatest influence on him.
His daughter, Samia, was the first female to run a major political party in Ghana. What's happening now with you?
Yes, I returned home 2007-08 to enter active politics. I've always been interested in politics, but from the sidelines and outside my country. We've had an interesting history, as you know. There was the illegal overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah's government. We were uprooted, separated from the family. Anyway, reading his books and, all these that feeling that, you know, I need to go back home and make my contribution brought me back home, entered active politics. I was an MP for the Convention People's Party. That's a small party, but it took its name from the same party Kwame Nkrumah founded before independence, and became the chairman or leader of that party. And yes, and I tried to become presidential candidate of that party. I was not successful about a year ago, but we never give up. We have to keep on trying.
Nkrumahism is something, when we go on your party's website, you know, it lists all of the things that you believe in, and Nkrumahism is one of it. Garveyism here. One of the things is Africa for Africans, and that vision you articulated. How much closer are we to that vision as we see all that's happening with countries within the continent? Are countries still saying we have to develop on our own, or are we collectively as a continent trying to move forward?
Yes, you see, of course there's a disconnect between the political establishment and the people. The people know they are one. I mean, if you see how our borders are, you know, people are always moving. The same ethnic group is split between 2-3 countries. That is, we know it. We know it. And if you explain to the people the benefits of being one country, one nation, imagine if 1.2 billion people spoke with one voice.
United States of Africa.
Yes. Can you imagine the strength and power and clouds Africans will have in the world, in world affairs today? So if that hasn't happened, it's not the people. It must be for another reason. And Kwame Nkrumah used to say, I mean, new colonialism, which means basically being exploited, dominated by others to develop other countries rather than our own. The greatest instrument, Kwame Nkrumah used to say, of new colonialism is to divide us. So within our own countries we are divided, different political parties, different views. Within the continent we are divided. Even the fact that the African states are divided from Caribbean states, that's absurd, you know. We are
What kind of lens does being in exile bring to you, Samira? In 1966, your family was separated. You're in Egypt.
That's
Kwame
right.
Was in Guinea. Staying on the outside, seeing your country, what kind of lens does it give you now to be in it and to make changes?
You know, our mother was Egyptian, yes. So even though we left Ghana, but we stayed in Africa. We went to be in Egypt. And I think that has really, that's in retrospect. I know the circumstances weren't good, but it's a great plus because it makes you see the whole continent as one. It's going back, you know, it made me realize that yes, we have, if you know Egypt well, if you've been taking a cruise down the Nile to the Valley of the Kings in the south, the Nubians are black. Egypt was a black civilization before the invasions, you know. Egypt is Africa, you know.
We have to go. Great to meet you, ma'am.
Thank
you so much for coming. Your son's name is Kwame.
That's right.
My son's name is Kwame, and actually I call him Nkrumah, and I named him because of your father.
Yes.
It's great to meet you.
Thank you very much.
He was the first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, but this is his daughter, and hopefully soon to be another president of Ghana, Samia Nkrumah.